Floyd.
You bet, buddy.
560-5589-560 KKTX. Police Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. I got an email. Thank you for taking care of that. Did you? You've heard of that before, though, right?
Absolutely. Yes. But you're talking the solicitors, peddlers. Is that the one? Or
no, the woman,
scam.
The woman that was told by a deputy sheriff who came to.
That's right.
Her house.
Yeah, it's a scam HEB thing, right?
Yeah.
Meet me at HEB. Yeah.
Yeah, meet me at HEB. Give me this money order.
Well, I'm glad you sent that to me so we could jump on top of that.
And aggressive panhandling in the downtown management district.
Drives me bonkers. I heard you guys this morning. I, too, have been, I don't know, aggressively panhandled, I guess. I don't know how you say that.
If a guy grabs me by the arm,
yeah.
Is that
I would say, yeah. I would say, yeah, that's beyond aggressive panhandling. You're really entering my personal space, yeah.
Well, I mean, if he walks along with you and argues with you about how deserving he is of your money.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's give me your money, right?
Well, if I wasn't worried about maybe him putting his hands on me, I would laugh. Mm-hmm. But you can't. You have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And that's not something you should have to pay attention to when you're coming out of a restaurant.
So we already have on the books an ordinance regarding aggressive panhandlers, and we actually take action on that when we can. And so, we're asking people if they find themselves in that same situation that you're in to call us and try to give us a description, because those people typically won't stray too far from where they're aggressively panhandling, and we can get out there and jump on top of them. Because
I've never seen one there on Chaparral accosting people as they came out of the Oyster Bar.
Yeah, but that's one way where they actually grab you. The other way is if you're at an ATM, for example, and you're getting money out and you've got a guy standing behind you begging you for money as you're getting it out of the ATM, we consider that aggressive panhandling. If they're following you, you're saying no, but they continue to accost you.
Yeah,
that's aggressive panhandling. And if we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. Because you virtually have to on view or see that happening before you can take action.
Have we figured out how we got rid of the Hare Krishnas? Those people were particularly aggressive in airports, and then you never see them anymore. How did we solve that problem?
I don't know if we did or they just went away.
Well,
so if we have people in that vein, we prefer you give your money to some charitable organization that does good, as opposed to giving single or double dollar bills out to people. And the minute I'm already considered an ogre, so the minute that I bring forward some sort of presentation or ordinance to the council saying we should, not allow people to give to these people who are aggressively panhandling, who are begging on the streets, in the effort to cut it off at its head, don't give to them, and then they'll go away.
All right. I keep thinking that's going to happen, but it never does.
No, San Antonio chief just got shot down last week. He proposed that ordinance, and they virtually ran him out of town, I guess. I don't know.
All right, he proposed what? Not
to make it a violation of the ordinance to give to people who are begging on the streets.
Now, jokingly, people say, okay, take this and go ahead and buy your wine. Uh-huh. But that's exactly what happens.
In most cases.
Yeah, but Jim, I think you have to, I don't think we can paint everybody a broad brush. Maybe the guy that came up to you was was being too aggressive and he was a panhandler and he was fine, but maybe he was mentally ill. I mean, I think we have to, we have to look at what it is. I mean, if I choose to give somebody, some money, my way of doing it is I'll take him into the HEB or I'll take him into the to the Stripes. Now, half of them don't want to go, obviously, and stuff like that, but I'll make them that challenge. And if there is one out there that needs food for their kids and will go into the Stripes and let me buy him a sandwich, I mean, I should have that right to do that. I think it is a societal problem, and we're not going to solve it. It's not the police. I just hate the fact that the chief is being, maybe he wants it, I don't know, but I hate the fact that the police are put in a position to try and be our social scientists. That's not their job. I mean, that's Mark's job, and it's the agency's jobs, and it's the, all these things we give all these monies to try and identify it and deal with it. But you're just not going to, solve it by arresting them or yelling at them or something. So I think, we have to figure it out.
And that's exactly right. But people got to know that's all I got. And then where rubber meets the road is that I get caught holding the bag. Well, why don't the police do something about these guys hanging around, panhandling, and bothering me? Well, I mean, all I could do is if there are some mental health issues, I can give them a taxi ride to the county, and then have them held, on what we call a blue warrant, or, after we prove to a magistrate that they're a danger to themselves and others, and then, the only thing I can do is put them in jail. I mean,
all right, but you get bit by that safety bug, because there will be downtown business owners that say, "Hey, look, my customers are concerned for their safety." Now, after 9 o'clock, and maybe a little bit later on the weekends, I don't know that you can be sure of what anybody's going to do to you, especially a stranger, when they walk up to you, and I don't know if they're yelling out, "Hey, give me some money," from 20 or 30 feet away. But the closer you get, the more people get concerned, especially if it's 2 or 3 women.
But I'd say it's a safety issue if a guy grabs my elbow and won't take no.
No for an answer?
Yeah, I sure wouldn't want them grabbing my wife or my daughter.
They not only won't take no for an answer, but you can see these guys, I think they've just about stopped holding the "will work for food" signs, because I have asked too many of them, would you work for me for the rest of the afternoon for a couple of Whataburgers? And I always get this in return. The double-jointed take that. Or they tell me to do something that's physically impossible. It doesn't matter, but it's just the phoniness of the whole thing. And to prolong, look, here, my basic problem is, if you spent any time in this part of the country looking for something to do, where somebody will give you money on Friday after you're done working all this work that you would do for food, you could actually do work here for money. And I think change your life immeasurably.
So how about the panhandlers that don't panhandle from you? They just panhandle from the government. They don't seek jobs either. All the people that could be working, that are collecting unemployment,
I think
all
those guys
things
ought to be cut off too.
I mean, I just think that's why I think we need a haven for hope, or some type of a societal thing. And I said I hate the fact that the police are put in the position of having to give in taxi rides to people when, in fact, and I do agree, Jim, when it's after 9 o'clock or after 8 o'clock, or I think that, and in police work, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, crimes become a different thing when circumstances change. You put a mask on and it's aggravated. If it's after night and it's dark and it's with a, to be an assault chief, you have to have the ability to carry it out. So, I mean, I think that there are circumstances, and I'd like the police to be present in those environments, but I just think we can't overreact and buy them one-way tickets or run them out of town. It's not going to happen, and those people cannot work, many of them. Many of them can, but many of them can't.
News Radio 1316 KKTX. Corpus Christi Police Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. City Councilman Mark Scott and Ed Martin with Bay LTD, the president of Bay LTD. We're talking about the aggressive panhandling going on downtown. Yeah. And council is going to vote on what? Hiring more off-duty policemen?
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing.
All right.
And so prior to the council's action, we've been in discussions with Terry Sweeney, and so far what we've done is we've already added additional patrols. They start around 10 o'clock at night, and they'll go to about 4 in the morning. And I've been spending about $5,500 a week, and we've been keeping contact with homeless people that we've come in contact, that we make contact with during those hours. On the first night, it was 34. second night it was 18, then it went back up to 25. And so we're tracking them, we're interviewing them, we're asking them what brought you here. What's surprising is on that first night, the 34, none of them were intoxicated. They were sleeping down, on the seawall, kind of where you talked about. You walked and they went, "Hey, wake up." But anyway, they're sleeping. And so what our guys were told is that they came here to try to get work in the oil fields. And, it just hadn't happened for them yet, and they got nowhere else to go. And so I'm thinking that's pretty amazing. I don't know if it's true or false, but it's what they told my guys. And so, maybe the answer is to galvanize some of the refineries or people who run those type businesses and offer them a place to stay until they get going, if they're qualified or whatever. I don't know, but I've been kind of running through my mind what we can do about that.
Or take them to the Caller Times job fair.
Yeah, or do something. Yeah, because we'll run them from downtown, right? And then what? They wind up somewhere else. Right?
Yes. We've been chasing them from place to place for years.
Right.
You take them out of downtown, they go to Flower Bluff.
Yes.
They go out in the woods or the places, the hobo cities there, and then there's a complaint from the shopping centers there, and then they run them someplace else. They go out in the midtown, not downtown midtown, but out here at the crosstown and the bridges.
And a lot of them oftentimes will have families, so they go to shelters, and then there may be a few, maybe one or two that will hold the family together. But if they go to the shelters, then dad has to be split from mom and kids. Then what we get is, I don't want to go to this shelter because there are too many rules. They make me do this, they make me do that, and it's just excuse after excuse. And I don't know where the answer is. That's what we're trying to. Susan Thorpe and I are trying to galvanize our community to find out what the answer is and what we can do about it.
Well,
in a real way, and what we're talking about is going to be contentious. People are going to not like it, but either we can try to get something done and do something different, or we can keep doing what we're doing and complaining about it.
All right. Here's the other part of that is there. I read a report yesterday about a guy in Florida who has been feeding the homeless for a long time.
Yeah, right.
His wife died some years ago, and he does it as a tribute to her. Those people leave the biggest trash pile imaginable. And it reminded me of what was going on here in Corpus Christi. The chief asked, look, if you're going to feed the homeless, would you please do it at Loaves and Fishes, the other places?
Metro Ministries.
They got kitchens and people can sit down, and they're not apt to throw their wrappers on the ground or go to the bathroom on the steps of City Hall, which I'm not sure if that has anything to do with disgruntlement or not. I would think it is. But usually it's just because I'm mad and I'm going to make everybody pay for it. But you had no luck getting the people who are supposed to be helping.
We've had a few show up at Metro Ministry, and they've offered their kitchen along with some food handling training because in my view, feeding someone in the parking lot, one is not, to me, it's kind of disrespectful. I think that, one, you want to make sure that you're handling the food correctly, gloves and hairnets and all of that stuff. Two, serve with some dignity. I don't know if there are people who are out there who are actually they're starving that you have to feed them on the parking lot.
Well, I was just talking about the misconception of you couldn't get any cooperation about the people that were doing the good.
Yeah, there are some.
We're doing the good. We're serving a higher purpose.
Sure.
We don't have to adhere to that. Besides, what's a little bit of litter? Well, excuse me, but it's been a really big deal for a long time.
Well, a little litter or a little human feces and a little urine on the parking lot of
Ask
City Hall. So
the business corridor on Leopard Street. It's not only aggressive, it's some of the nasty stuff that goes on in their doorways, beside their building, in the alleys. It's disgusting. Yeah. And Gilbert of the detail shop right there on the corner.
Talk to him often.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to give some kudos to my boss, Susan Thorpe. And she's really, really working hard, trying to galvanize the community to get something done. But it's going to be a long haul because people's feelings get hurt.
Rudy, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jim. Thank you for taking my call, and happy Veterans Day to all the veterans, especially the Tejanos out there. Jim, the reason I'm calling is because I wanted to talk to you about it last week, but because I got busy, and then by the time I got in, the program was over. But I did call, but it was too late. And before I continue, I'd like to congratulate my precinct 2. My precinct, according to the results, were ahead of the Republican Party in the whole thing. So I congratulate my precinct for showing up to vote, and both Republican and Democrats. But we had 314 voters.
All right, Rudy, I'm running out of time, so let's go.
Okay. The reason I'm calling is because I think I know you probably discussed this, but we need to address the issue of voting registration cards being available when the voters go to vote, because 90% of the voters in my precinct voted with their driver's license. And what we were asking for driver's license instead of voter registration. And what I'm suggesting is it makes it a little difficult and harder for us that are working the elections when we have to look it up in the book and then transfer the information and read it to the guy that's writing down the information because of the lack of the voter identification code.
All right, Rudy, I appreciate it. Thanks. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Veterans Day 2014. A invitation for you to join us today at Brewster Street. The Ride to Texas cyclists should be rolling in sometime after 3:30. They're on the road this morning, and Kenneth Holder, the ride director, is on the KKTX hotline. Hey, Kenneth, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. Sam told me he could hear the background noises. You guys had sirens on earlier?
Oh, yes, sir. We've got Beeville Fire Department, sheriff officers, Beeville PD. They're we're headed down 181 South right now, and we've got surrounded by support, and we're making our way into Corpus. Are
they blocking the wind off pretty good? It's only going to be that way for a little bit longer, and then you're going to get a tailwind.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, there really isn't much of a wind to speak of this morning. Yesterday, as we're making our way into Beeville, we had the wind howling in the faces of the riders about 26 miles an hour. So it was a very interesting day for these guys, but they fought through it as a team and survived it, and now we're ready to make our final approach.
So if you're coming down 181, you got any idea how many more miles you got?
We're looking just about 60 miles is what we're running today. Now these riders up to this point have 520 miles in their legs. We started on Wednesday, the 5th, and in Wichita Falls, and we have made our way up to this point. So Corpus Christi obviously will be our final landing there at Brewster Ice House.
So, any of you guys sort of have that early Forrest Gump look when he was running across the country? and kind of gaming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. So, but it's kind of bittersweet, I guess. They're tired. They come out, kind of like what you just said, a little bit zombie-fied, and but they know it's the final day. They're excited to complete the journey, and so, and they know what they're doing, they know what they're riding for. Wish for Our Heroes is an organization that supports military families facing hardships. And all of our riders, whether they're active duty or civilian or combat wounded, they have that knowledge, and they know why they're putting their bodies through this, the extreme here. So it's a good thing.
We're really looking forward to seeing you guys, Ride Texas cyclists, wounded veterans, and wish for our heroes teaming up with Ride Texas cyclists to assist veterans and their families with basic daily needs like putting food on the table, keeping the power on, car repairs. And we're raising money. And if you would like to drop by Brewster Street and help us for a while, Congressman will be there, the mayor, and Judge Lloyd Neal, Chewy Hinojosa. So it's going to be a full afternoon of a lot of fun and conviviality, especially with the Wounded Warriors. I really appreciate you getting out in front of this, Kenneth. It's a really nice thing for you to do. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at Brewster Street.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to seeing you guys out there and seeing the community, and we greatly appreciate the support that Corpus has brought to the table for Wish for Our Heroes this year and for Ride Texas.
All right. I'll see you this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Bye.
560-5589-560-KKTX. Are you going to get on a bicycle? You're a cyclist. How long will it take him to do?
How many miles
60
again? 60 will take him 4 hours. Yeah.
Well,
I'm telling you, those guys,
maybe they better slow down.
I went last year, and it is an amazing experience. The veterans they're incredible human beings. I mean, just take the whole wounded issue out. They're amazing human beings, and the people that are riding with them, they've got to apply, and they've got workout programs. I mean, it's an ordeal. They told me last year, one of the guys, his first year, it rained 3 days. First 3 days, like, this is not gonna. I'm never gonna end. And so when they get to Corpus, I mean, that's Christi. That's a big deal for them. And so there weren't a lot of people last year, so we're trying to get a big turnout this year. I think the judge and the mayor are going to be there at 6:00. Gary P. Nunn, I think, is playing. It's a big deal. You'll have a fantastic experience. To just spend a few minutes with some of these riders, you will not regret it.
Gary P. Nunn is going to start about 3:30. We'll be looking for the guys to make an appearance sometime after 3:30. There to be topping the hill, or the Harbor Bridge.
Harbor Bridge.
And,
which, think about that. You ride 60 miles, and then you get to the bridge. You're going to want that wind at your back.
So come on out, make a donation, join your friends and neighbors, and celebrate Veterans Day with us. Are you you're providing, or you already have provided?
Yeah, we'll be engaged and make sure we keep traffic off of them and make sure everybody stays safe.
Here to make a donation?
Sure. Actually, I already did, but
I'm sure
you
did. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, did
Yeah, I thought Mike was making phone calls a couple weeks ago. He's very, very big into this.
Yeah, he is. And by the time the celebrities start speaking, 6:30, it ought to be about an empty house.
That's okay too.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Yeah.
And I'm since I'm your master of ceremonies, I'm going to remind all these elected officials that this is not the kickoff
for them.
to another
campaign.
Election campaign season.
It's not a forum.
That's right.
Give everybody 30 seconds.
All right. In the meantime, your support is very much appreciated. I saw Beck Brune on Channel 6 last night. The funding for water projects.
Right.
The SWIFT Fund.
Swift funds, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
$2 billion. Sign up for loans.
We'll be there.
It's almost like, oh, wow, this is really on everybody's terms, isn't it?
Yeah, just remember loans.
You do have to pay it back.
Yeah. And then pay them back.
Well, we have a couple projects we think we're going to do anyhow. We'll be up there asking for a rate buy-down program, I think.
All right. The city asked for a manpower report on the police department, and they completed that some months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I could gather last night from some of the city council members, the city manager is holding on to that report.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's got his reasons for hanging on to it. I know and understand. People have to understand. I'm the police chief, so I'm going to advocate for my department.
Sure.
And I think it's my professional responsibility to tell people where we are, and then we put it in the hands of the decision makers, and they decide what they want to fund, which was what I wanted to do. From Ron's perspective, I'm sure, not trying to speak for him, he's looking across the entire city, and he's going to prioritize those things that need to be prioritized. If you look at our department, absolutely, I think we need more resources. But in the grand scheme of things, when you put things in perspective within our city, we're probably funded better than any other of our departments, and I get that. There's potholes, there's trash, there's water, there's all kinds of issues that are important.
Well, they brought up the potholes as well. And
but
the maintenance program from which the limited amount of crews can fill up. But you, potholes.
Yeah, you guys are talking about panhandlers. You're talking about business moving here, and maybe every other department director thinks like I do about their respective departments. But if you're talking infrastructure, safety is going to be paramount with regard to people moving here. And I want to make the argument that we ought to be, just like you're thinking about doing other things, you got to engage public safety to make sure that we can keep people safe.
All right. Speaking of public safety, officer-involved shooting on Sunday Sunday night.
Yeah.
A very distressed woman calls 911, but hangs up.
Yes.
And then calls 911 again. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell what she was talking about unless it was somebody roaming around where she was with a gun.
Yeah.
And they answer a call to the address, and they open the door, and there's a guy coming toward them, and he has a gun. And they tell him, put the gun down.
Yes.
And he raises the weapon.
Clears his holster. And puts our guys in fear of their lives, and they respond accordingly. Now, very preliminarily, we're looking at the shooting to make sure we had adequate supervision, we adhere to our policies, and our training is good. But
you got the whole thing on video.
Yeah, we got everything on video, and it appears at this point that our officers acted appropriately. I know my dispatchers, I've read some of the comments that our dispatchers were getting some criticism, and people have no idea of what they're talking about. First of all, those officers on that first initial hang-up, they're on their way.
Yeah.
Because we had a hang-up call. So the dispatcher is having to verify, and yes, she's going to ask, hey, calm down a little bit, tell me where you are so we can get there. And I heard, I'm reading these comments, and I'm just going, you got to be kidding me.
No.
These people, first of all, they have this pulpit that they can write whatever they want to write and have no idea of what the heck they're talking about. That dispatcher performed wonderfully because those cops were already on the way. She's trying to get additional information.
Right.
And maybe my Achilles heel is that I'm trying to be as transparent as I possibly can. Here's the video. Here's the audio. Here's everything that you ever wanted to know about this. And seemingly people still try to criticize the dispatchers. If you want to walk in their shoes, come on down and see what they do.
Yeah, you can apply for weekend duty. It's a fun thing to do, to deal with people who are just a tad excited on the telephone. There's a song you probably learned in elementary school when, caissons were popular. News Radio 1360 KKTX, the president of Bay is in the box, Ed Martin, with Chief Floyd Simpson and City Councilman Mark Scott. Since Ed was a city manager and a city councilman and then moved on to Bay, the absolute astounding things that are going on in the city, the growth. I'm sure people say growth and they think one thing, but the numbers, the money is astronomical. It's in the billions. And as Ed said earlier, the attention has been on the new companies, the M&Gs, the Voestalpinas, the Tipcos, but local companies are making gigantic improvements and expansions. You guys just built a new building at Bay, didn't you?
Yes, we did. Yes.
And it's for?
It's for warehousing, for some of the materials coming in right now, for a offshore living quarters we're building on our property.
All the refineries are doing expansion work.
Major expansion work. Not small, major.
Hundreds of millions, if not billions of
Yes,
dollars.
Exactly.
And do we really have any idea about, I mean, it's almost like a boom town.
You know, it's a boom town in a rather, organized way, I guess I would say, because these types of projects aren't just, craziness, that they're well planned, well engineered, well thought out and scheduled. But we are, and we talked about homeless earlier. We talk about unemployment issues. We talk about lots of things. There is going to be, and there is right now, a tremendous demand, for labor. We have openings for hundreds of people right now, and we could fill them, whether it's our highway work or whether it's the fabrication work that's going on. There's just all kinds of opportunities, and skilled people in this area are in high demand, and we're all willing to train them. I mean, we just, I'm going to put a plug in, I guess, because it's unbelievable, but last week we hit 20 million man-hours without a lost time injury.
Last time you were in, we talked about that.
Yeah, we were pushing 18, and now it's 20 million man-hours over 3 years without a single employee not being able to come back to work the next day. And we don't do easy things.
Right.
I mean, these guys are standing out on the highway next to a car going 60 miles an hour, or working in a refinery environment or in a yard environment or high in the air on equipment. So, one of the things I'll say, because I don't want to spend time talking about the homelessness and the bad people without talking about the fact that the Gulf Coast workforce is the most sought-after workforce in the whole construction industry. They're the safest, the best, and the most productive. And that's one of our great challenges.
Well, that comes with that well-thought-out plan. We train our people. I know quite a few smaller companies that spend a great deal of time. This is the way you do this.
Yes.
And they train them
well, the chief talked about reviewing to make sure all the protocols were followed. Mm-hmm. We do the same thing in our business, which is we're not looking to place blame. We're looking to say, what could we have done to make sure we could prevent that in the future?
Yeah.
And those types of protocols, a little more expensive, but it sure results, in a better product.
Well, it's resulted in 20 million
man-hours.
Man-hours.
Yes.
Ed, I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming in. Chief, it's always good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Mark,
appreciate you.
Congratulations.
Thank you much. Thank you much.
You're termed out now.
Congratulations.
Now go to work.
You can do Melody. They just stopped for 2 years ago.
Have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.